The first thing we need to do here is go ahead and complete the table. So we are looking at patterns from column to column, and then we will put additional numbers into the blank columns. So that's what they're asking us to do. They also want us to do the C plus D, so they have included a specific instruction for that. All right, so looking at the C row, let's look and see if we can figure out a pattern that exists. So first of all, we have 28 and 25. So to get from 28 to 25, we have to go down by 3. To get from 25 to 22, we also have to go down by 3. So that's looking like there's a pattern. 22 to 19, we also take away 3. And 19 to 16, we also take away 3. So the pattern for C is that it reduces by 3 each time. So knowing that, we can go ahead and fill in the remaining empty cells. Okay, so 16 minus 3 is 13. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. 13 minus 3 is 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. And 7 minus 3 is 4. So there we have successfully filled in the remaining cells in the C row. Now we need to figure out what is happening in the D row, and notice we don't have any values for the first 4 cells, so we need to start with the 5th cell and see if we can figure out what's happening between these values. So here we start at 12 and we go to 15. Well, how can we get from 12 to 15? We add 3 this time. So 15 to 18, we add 3. 18 to 21, we also add 3. And lastly, 21 to 24 is also an add 3. So in order to figure out what goes in here, we need to work backwards. So if we've gone up by 3 to figure out all of the values that come after 12, we now need to go down by 3 to figure out the values that come before. So we have 12 minus 3 is 9. So again, if we go from 9 to 12, that's a plus 3. So that value is correct. Now we do a 9 minus 3 to get 6. So 6 plus 3 is 9. So I'm just doing it and then I'm checking to make sure it's getting me to the value that I need. So that one is correct. 6 minus 3 is 3. So again, 3 plus 3 is 6. And then I take 3 from 3 and get 0. And to check that, I get 0 plus 3 is 3. So I now know that the D row has been filled in correctly. All right, lastly, they want us to do C plus D. So C plus D is the value in the C cell plus the value in the corresponding D cell. So 28 plus 0 is 28. 25 plus 3 is also 28. 22 plus 6 is also 28. 19 plus 9 is 28. Hopefully we're seeing a pattern here. 16 plus 12 is 28. 13 plus 15 is 28. 10 plus 18 is 28. 7 plus 21 is 28. And 4 plus 24 is also 28. So here in this slide, we have figured out all of the different patterns that exist, and we have successfully filled in the remainder of the table. Now, for the next slides that we move to, we're going to start asking and answering questions around this data. Now that we have all of the values figured out in the table, we're going to answer some questions about patterns that we see. So for the first question, it says, generalize the patterns in the first 2 rows by filling in the blanks. As the values for C, so that's this row, and then blank, so as something is happening to C, the values of D, and then something is also happening to D. Okay, so what we determined was that C is going down by 3, and D is going up by 3. So generalize the patterns. As the values for C decrease, go down. So I'm just going to use that arrow again. Decrease by 3. the values of D increase by 3. Okay, and then when the value of C is 22, what is the value for D? So we need to look for where C equals 22. Well, right here, we have that C equals 22. So we need to find the corresponding value for D, which is 6. So when C equals 22, D equals 6. Okay, so now this is when C is 23, what is D? Well, if we look at our C row, we actually don't have a 23. We have 28, 25, 22. So what I'm going to do is kind of expand that so that we have values for everything. So if I start at, let's see, we have 28, and we need to figure out 23. We also need to figure out what D equals when C is 24. So let's figure out those values. I'm going to start, so this is sort of a new table using some of the same values, but also some new values. Okay, so there's C and D. Now we know that when C is 28, D is 0. Okay, now can we, looking at the pattern, figure out when C equals 27, what would D have to equal? Or when it equals 26, what would D have to equal? 25, what would D have to equal? 24, what would D have to equal? I'm going to go ahead and do 23. Actually, I'm going to do 22 because we know the answer to 22. So if we have figured out the right pattern, our answer for D should correspond, oops, not to that one, to our value for D, which is 6. Okay, so if we're going down by 3 in one row and up by 3 in another, those are the same quantities, just different directions. Okay, so let's say here we're going down, right? We have 28 to 27. Well, that's down 1, so let's say that D is going up by 1. Okay, here we're doing another one. We're going down 1, so here we're going to go up another 1. 26 to 25 is down 1, so now we're going to go up 1 for D. 24, we've gone down 1 more. There's 4. Down another 1. Now we've gone up 5. And then down another 1, and we've gone up 6. Now, is 22, 6 the correct combination of C and D? Yes, it is. So that tells me that the pattern I found was correct. So we need to figure out when C is 23. So now I go to this table and I say, oh, well, when C is 23, D is 5. Let's see if I can sneak it in here. When C is 23, D is, and what did I find again? So 23 and 5, so D is 5. Now we also wanted to see when C is 24, so here is where C is 24. So when C is 24, D is 4. Okay, so that answered that last value. Now we're going to move to one more slide and answer a couple of more pattern-related questions. Okay, here we're going to answer one more round of questions. So here it says, rewrite the pattern between the variables C and D by filling in the blank. When the value of C changes by +1, the value of D changes by. Now we used that to try to figure out the values that were missing, like when C was equal to 24, if I remember correctly, we didn't have a value for D. So we figured out that as C changed by 1, D changed by 1, but they're going in the opposite direction. So here when the value of C changes by 1, the value of D changes by, and it's decreasing by 1. Okay, now what is the formula for finding the value d if you are given a c value? In other words, d equals. So that is where we're going to use this row. We know that by adding c and d together, it's going to always equal 28. So we can write that c plus d equals 28. Now we need to be able to get our d by itself. So to do that, we need to use an opposite function. So here we're adding c and d together. We need to move c from this side over to this side. And since it's addition and c is positive, we're going to subtract c from both sides. So we get d equals minus c plus 28. Now the reason why it's minus c plus 28 is we always put the variable first and the constant, or just the number, second. Okay, now to check that, let's go ahead. So let's see, I'll write it down here, minus c plus 28. Now we need to just plug a value in from our c row and see if it equals the correct d. Okay, so d equals, and I'll just go ahead and use this combination. So I'm going to say that c equals 19, and we have plus 28. Well, what is negative 19 plus 28? It equals 9, which is correct. That's what d should equal. So that confirms that our equation of d equals negative c plus 28 is indeed the correct formula or equation.